Yeah, so we're finally coming together to talk about our experience, right?
Yes, and I'm so excited. And it was like when I was logging in just now, it was like, oh my God, we haven't done open-hearted human design
In
in a
two
month.
months. Yeah,
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 because you were here, and then
yeah,
maybe the week before we had talked, but so super
yeah,
excited. So what would you
yeah.
like to share about the trip? Because you had the massive journey here.
Yeah. Well, first things first, you just reminded me that I didn't um what's the word for it? I didn't extend my subscription on Zoom. So I'm probably after like I believe it's 40 minutes. I get or then I with 30 minutes I get like you just got 10 minutes. So we have to go back and look again. I just I forgot,
Whatever.
totally forgot. Because
I haven't
I
renewed
think
mine either.
no, you didn't either. No, because I didn't have any calls. I was like, well, that saves me like 15 bucks or 18. I believe it's 18 or 19 euros at this moment. So
Yeah,
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 a little savings.
yeah,
But
totally.
yeah, wow. Where would I like to start with the experiment that I just jumped onto? Yeah, your invitation and my response. And there's so many things I want to begin. I almost feel like right brain because everything is flooding in. Like, where do I want to start? Do I want to start with the part that Mark said it was the perfect time for us to be together? And then me saying, well, it was a feeling, a sense that I had that I didn't want to wait till next year to visit you and to connect. But I shared with you, like, what are you doing in like October, November? And you said, well, nothing particular. And then I fell into the field and I felt this particular week or 12 days to come and visit you, to take the trip and to fly out and be with you. So, so fascinating. Everything was so fascinating. So maybe we will start with the moment in the airport. I saw you first. So I was walking. I was like, where's this going? You know, I've never been on this airport. And then I suddenly see the figure that I know, the hair that I know, especially the hair. And I was like, she was texting. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna surprise her. And I quietly walked up to you and I said, and then you suddenly looked up and it was so unreal, right? It was like it was real, was not real. You were the same person, yet you were not because you were real and not in front of my screen. And it was so familiar and so exciting. So I don't know. How did you feel? What was your first moment?
Super excited. Like I was like, oh my gosh, we've really created this. And uh just, you know, adventure and fun are, hallmarks of my design. So it was very exciting because we were off to a new adventure. And
Yeah,
it just felt like you, like honestly, like, part of our reason for this experiment was to see what we feel in auric presence. Is it different than when we were on Zoom? And it just felt really comfortable to me and exciting. Yeah.
yeah. And what was your first? Can you remember your first reaction response that I suddenly was right in front of your face?
Yeah, she's exactly like she is online.
The same thing too. And do you remember that we both kind of pinched each other like, is it real? And then we looked at each other like, this is so unreal.
Yeah, and it was like, because I think you can get at the unrealness of it is like your story of the customs office. Who are you going? How do you know her?
Yeah, that was so funny. You know, you have when you come into customs, you you come with your passport and you have to get your what was it called again? Your You know how the ticket is called.
Your visa?
Your
Uh,
visa. Yeah. So that you're entering the country. And the day before, a family texted me like, "Did you get the form?" And I was like, "Oh shoot, I didn't know that." So I was kind of panicking that I didn't fill in the form and that I wouldn't be allowed into the US. So, it took us about 1.5 hours, I believe, to get the form done and get paid for it. And, on the official side. And then, it could take up to 48 or 72 hours, they said, to get like a yes or a no. So I was like, okay, but when I get into the US and then I'm at customs and they say like, no, not permitted. What do I do? So we talked about it, and you said it will be fine. It will be fine. And then I let it go because it's the adventure. So everything what was going to happen was supposed to be happening. So then it was my turn in line. And, they start questioning you like, where are you going? And I remember that I said Riverdale instead of Silverdale. And Riverdale is a brand here for furniture here in the Netherlands. So maybe that's why I remember it. And he said, well, where is that? And I said, well, it's in Washington. Oh, is it here in Washington? I said, yes. How did I know? And then he asked me the question, so who are you visiting? And I said, well, I'm visiting a friend. Well, how do you know this friend? I said, well, online. Well, online what? And I said, well, human design, astrology and I Ching and da. And all these kinds of questions, just repeating questions to hear if I gave the same answer. And I said, well, we're here for the first time, meeting each other, and it's exciting. And then he said, well, what are you going to do afterwards? I said, go back to my hobby. And then he let me in. So that was kind of funny. Yeah, but no problem. I got in, and like I said, then I saw you standing there, and I was, it was a 10.5 hour flight. And I did get a good flight, but I guess it was the excitement that I barely slept. And but the moment I saw you, I was, energized again. And we walked all the way to your car. And from the first moment we connected, we started chatting. Yeah, so we came to your house, and I believe Trey was already there, also there, because yeah, he got my suitcase. And then we even sat till your 9 p.m. and I was awake for like more than 24 hours. And
yeah.
I'm glad that we took a little glass of wine because I feel like that helped me to fall asleep because of all the excitement. And one of the general things we had each day was that each day, I got up a little bit earlier than you did. And, I found my way around the house. I was so welcome. And it really felt as my home for that period of time. So I was so grateful to have my own room, to have my own bathroom, which is another story about the bathroom. But but each morning when you woke up, you came in your little pajamas and you just sat down, the natural you, we started chatting again and talking. But it was also, everything was so natural, like you said. Everything was just flowing. And for me, there wasn't a moment of force, not a moment of like, I want to do something else or something. We were so in tune with each other. And I felt like we had this balance and we were feeling each other's field in the way of energy wise. So, and it was an experiment also for us. Could we be honest? We're saying that we always want to be honest with each other, but are we able to in real life, which is a challenge for, I believe, all of humanity, to be honest with each other? Like, what do you want to do? How do you feel? Do you want to go out? Do you want to eat something? Do you want to sleep? And yeah, I have a little rhythm that when we went out to do something and we got back, I needed a moment of like a little nappy, have a little sleep for an hour or 1.5 hours. And that was perfect for you too, I believe. So yeah, I don't
It
know.
really, really was. I mean, I loved that about being transparent made 12 days seem like
Yeah.
effortlessness.
Yeah.
Uh, because you were always so honest of like, I need a break. And it was always perfect for me. And in while you were having a break, I was having a break. And then we were refreshed and renewed.
Right.
And I loved also that really we gave each other time and space. So we had our intense moments of togetherness,
Yeah.
and then we had time and space. And I feel like that rhythm was also because we didn't, it would have been really easy for you to come from the Netherlands and for us to be in the sense of lack. And by lack, I mean, oh my gosh, we've got to hurry up and do all this stuff and cram it all in so that, we can get it all done. And I love that we didn't go to that place,
Yeah.
that we really tuned in every day. And yeah, we did stuff, but we didn't overwhelm our experience from this place of lack of, there's not enough time, there's not enough whatever. And
Right.
that I think made everything so easy,
Yeah.
effortless, fun,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, we spoke about it
nurturing.
beforehand, even because you maybe it was the pressure, or maybe head pressure, or maybe root pressure that, I was coming from the Netherlands and you wanted to show me around. And then I said to you, but I'm not coming for the US. I am coming for you and for us. So
And
my
it made
intent was,
all the
it made all the
difference.
difference. Yeah. Yeah.
All the difference. Um, yeah,
And I feel that we honored our design, even though I am a manifesting generator, my only channel is the 952, which is very focused energy, and it has to reload, so to speak. So I guess that's where the rhythm came from. Like, when we were in the zone, we were in the zone. Even when we went out, we were in the zone. But then when we got back, I felt tired. Like my root had to fill its fuel back up to ignite my engine. Right. And you
yes,
having an open sacral. So
yes,
it was honoring both.
so much so. And
Yeah.
even as a projector too, because you're right, like when we were in the zone of us, it is intense.
Yeah.
And when you were resting, I was resting. And for my projector field, that was really great.
Yeah. But wasn't it cosmically funny that I felt like, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, that we were having those needs to rest at the same time?
Very much our rhythms, that was really magical. Our
Right.
rhythms really
Yeah,
uh harmonized, if you will.
interesting. Do you feel like that has to do with the 5 and the 35? Because this is our karmic connection, adventure, and I feel the 5 is patient, so it's kind of waiting for the right adventure to have energy for. And I feel like that is what we were tuning into.
Very much so.
Mhm.
Very much so, because there was no real pressure.
Right.
I didn't feel pressure.
No.
Everything, we moved at such a relaxed pace, even through our days that we spent here in my house, just, chatting over coffee, when we listened to videos and
Baking bread.
baking bread, yeah, everything was just really
Balanced.
balanced and
Yeah.
peaceful. I that was one of the things that I noticed being in your field. So many people in my life are manifesting generators and have the
20,
3420.
57, yeah, 34,
Yeah,
20, yeah.
yeah. And well, did I say that wrong? Which I want to say
Oh,
that
you said it
correctly.
right. You said it right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I can feel the,
Right.
and I never felt that, like I'm aware of that. I'm so aware of the busyness of that
Yeah.
channel. And I was really interested to feel like, oh, what is it going to feel like with Corinda, because she's a manifesting generator. And
Right.
I didn't ever feel that, you
No.
know, um,
You did feel champagne bubbles, you said.
oh my gosh,
Talk about that.
it was so fascinating. When Corinna's sacral would open to a yes, I literally felt it like champagne bubbles in my body. It was so incredible to have such a sensory, full body experience of her sacral yes. There was no denying the yes. It was like completely there. And so that was interesting because
Yeah, you talked about that you have experienced other people's sacrals of being like not a champagne, but something else bubbling. Do you remember?
yeah, I do feel other people's sacrals opening or closing, and I've never felt a sacral that much in my field. Like when Trey's sacral is in the yes, I feel it just as like flow and movement. So
Mhm.
almost like a high speed train. It's like the energy is really focused and moving. Um, I feel other people's sacrals closing when, let's say, they're in the yes and then it
Right.
suddenly switches to a no, and I
Mhm.
feel the energy just stop. And
Right.
I'll go, we need to stop here. And they'll go, yeah.
Right.
They may not even have the awareness of why, right? But to feel your sacral like champagne bubbles in my field, really powerful champagne bubbles. We're not talking the light bubbles. We're talking
Like just
big
like popping
bubbles.
champagne.
Big bubbles. It was really cool. I loved that, because it was another experience of a sacral and being aligned with, that yes.
Right. Yeah.
It was, I don't know. I'm remembering us giggle a little bit when because we can both feel your sacral open.
Right.
And it
Yeah,
was
because you
kind
might
of
be
exciting.
aware of it. And then, for me, it happens naturally. So you're not always you're aware, but not very conscious. And you make me
Yeah.
very conscious of when it's on. So it drops me back into my body. And then I get to feel the bubbles as well, like even like a third person. Or me just observing the bubbles
Yeah.
instead of just having them. Yeah.
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 That, that was really powerful, very powerful for me.
Yeah, and a good, for me, what I love about it, like that's what the guiding of you as a projector is, because when a generator is not so aware of its, that sacral going on and off, it's like you were the true mirror of my sacral. And I feel like that is so important because you just shared about those people that their sacrals are already off and then they don't know it, and you have to go like, I feel like we have to stop. And maybe again, that's another part of why we were so much in flow, that when my sacral was off, I noticed it and just said, I need a rest.
Yeah. And it was so easy. It was just
Right.
so easy, because when you're aligned, um, even if I didn't need a rest in that moment, it was okay that you needed a rest.
Right.
That was in alignment.
Yeah.
And so then there's no drama or story, or it's like, oh, okay, her
Right.
cycle needs to rest.
Yeah.
Okay, let's time out.
And I do believe that your cross of consciousness comes in here in a way that, we talked about it before, like not taking things personally. You're conscious of my design, you're conscious of your design, and also the respect and honor for other people's design, knowing that it has nothing to do with you or with us or the day or all the mind things that can say like, oh, didn't she like the day? Does she not like my company anymore? No, you just fully trusted, our connection, my design, your design. And that's what brought harmony, I feel. It's all these things together, of course, but we're trying to point
Totally.
things out.
Yeah, I mean, on that line, do you feel like, how do I want to ask this question? So you have an open head and ajna, and I have a defined head and ajna. And I often say that I don't have a lot of mind chatter, that my mind is still a lot of
Yeah.
time. Because you have the open head, I could have been
I was your
like,
mind reader. What I noticed is that, and I pointed it out during our time together, that I would say something and you were thinking it. So I was like, am I picking up what you are thinking? Or you said something and I already thought of it, but didn't speak it out. So it was like, again, like, is it my thought or was it your thought that I'm picking up? And that was
there was
also
a
part of
lot
the
of that.
balance. Yeah. I was kind of
A lot
mind
of time we
reading
were in
you.
the same brainwave. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what another thing, fun thing to notice was, so I landed on Thursday, and on Friday night, you invited me to your friend's house. They invited you for Oktoberfest. So
Yes.
I never been to an Oktoberfest. I never ate a pretzel. And it was my first time in the US. And I was going to this big house with all people that I didn't know. But, I'm on an adventure. So I was, again, excited to just meet people. And, so we come in. Everything is fully dressed with food, like the piano had all the desserts on it. And on the other side, there were all these what was it called again? How do you call that?
Oh, a charcuterie
A
board.
charcuterie. Yeah. Yeah. So, but all with all like German stuff. And so I was like, oh, good. I like that. I can eat that. It's always like waiting what people are going to offer you in another country, right? And
Yeah.
so, I'm introducing myself, you're introducing me, and we get to connect. So what first happened before I go to where I wanted to go, because it just popped up, I just came in and just shook hands with some people. But like a few meters away on my right side, there was an older man just looking at me. And I was just looking around and he went like, like, oh, hi. So I went over and he really wanted to meet me. So that was so funny because in the Netherlands, I'd never seen that happen. So it was the first time that somebody just, looked at me like, who are you? Come over here and say hi. you know. So we have like
He
about
was
10
not
minutes.
missing out.
Yeah.
He's like,
So he started a conversation and that he wanted to, visit the Netherlands. And then a woman came near. I don't know what their connection was because there were so many people, but she said she was already, or she had been to the Netherlands. And we talked a little bit about that. But, there were so many more people. So you came and get me and I was like, okay, bye. It was fun, but I didn't want to stay, hooked in one conversation.
I could
So,
feel you were ready. So
right, I guess so. I think you were feeling
made a
my
decision. I was
feels.
like, she's done. Let's
Right,
go.
right. So at some point we were in the kitchen. So this is a big living room with a big open kitchen where you can just walk through. And the daughter of, Andy and Wendy are their names. I hope that's okay. And so Andy's daughter came into the kitchen, and you haven't seen her for quite a while, I believe. Yeah. So she started a conversation, and I believe it was about spirituality and things. She kind of was, curious about things. And so in the beginning, for a short while, there was a conversation with the three of us. And then I saw it happen, how the projector aura works. It was like, first, it was like you were searching, and then boom, locked in with the daughter. And I was just, pushed out, but not in a negative way, because I was aware and I was noticing, oh, wow, this is how the projector focused aura in one direction works. It was like searching, and then boom, it was in. And I felt locked out of your field. And I just laughed inside of myself, noticing that. And I was like, okay, I'm locked out now. So what am I going to do? So first I was like, shall I keep standing here? Because it felt awkward in a way that I didn't want to just walk away from you, because I was there with you and with Trey. But I didn't want to be rude to you. But then I felt like, okay, no, this is safe because you are locked in with her. So then I walked away, and we can talk about all the other stuff, but I wanted to talk about this part particularly because you have noticed it too, because we spoke about it the next day.
Yeah, totally. And with her, which was so interesting. So to give you guys some context, so we've been here about 3 years, and really, I live in a really secluded place. Corinna can talk about that if she wants, and Trey has the store. And so Wendy works in the store occasionally, and that's how we know them. And so she and Andy have become our friends. And um, the daughter, Andy's daughter, I've been with her maybe 3 times total at a holiday, and she's never really talked to me. She's always just kind of been on the peripheral, whatever. And so that night, I actually walked up to say something to Andy, and his daughter was right there talking, and I was just standing there talking. And she was doing something interesting. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but she said something about Reiki. And, I'm a Reiki master and have done a lot of work with Reiki and stuff. And Andy's a nurse. I used to be on a hospital Reiki team in Tucson. And so the three of us kind of got into this conversation, and Corinna was standing there. When I locked into her, Corinna walked away and Andy walked away, and I was so aware that I was locked into her, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Right.
And it was really beautiful, because I felt her come to life with my gaze,
Right.
when I locked in. She felt my presence and my attention on her and my undivided attention. And she really was so
She felt
blooming in that
seen, right?
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really fun.
Yeah.
So then I am, once I learned about my PHS, so much about my diet, made sense that I was naturally doing. But Corinna was having this great Nespresso, and it smelled so good. So I was like, I want some. So I just would make mine and then let it cool till it was body temperature lower. And I just loved it. And so I've added, coffee. When I was in Tucson and I was staying with Tammy, she has an espresso too. So then when she came, I had gotten the Nespresso because you were coming, but then my friend Tammy comes and she is an espresso drinker. So I felt like, oh,
Okay.
okay, it was perfect, right? So then when I was in Tucson, Tammy does the iced Nespresso too, because it was like 90 degrees. I left here and the temperature was the low 50s and it was
Right.
high 80s to 90s in Tucson. So she was like, let's go get coffee. And I was like, oh, it's so hot. And she goes, we'll get iced. And I was like,
Right.
okay. And then she was making iced Nespresso. So it was really fun.
Yeah.
So
And
I've returned to my roots, my coffee roots.
yeah, I
Espresso.
didn't drink coffee until I was like 38 or something. I didn't like coffee. And then for some reason I had to learn to drink coffee. And then I found out about Nespresso and here I am loving it. But
Loving it.
these are periods. I almost feel like the bitter that's in coffee, you sometimes need and sometimes you don't. And I just follow my body for what it wants.
Well, that was another thing that was so beautiful. So when I got to Tucson, I was one of the things I was doing was acupuncture, and I was telling my acupuncturist how I had added coffee, and I've been having coffee almost every day at different times during the day to
Yeah.
avoid the. And she thought that having the bitter for me, especially being up here in Washington with the cold winter, was excellent. So there's
Mm.
my body just paying attention when you start living your design, and really being aware of my PHS, and um
Yeah.
there's my body just choosing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
thanks
Beautiful.
for the gift of Nespresso.
You're welcome. Yeah. So what's next? There are so many things that it's sometimes even hard to follow, like which day was what. But
Oh,
let's,
wait,
yeah.
wait. Where is it? I want to show you. So I don't know if it'll show,
Oh,
but
yeah, it's upside
Miranda
down.
bought me Miranda bought me this gift that was out of this world. This is a major project that she has embarked upon, and it's, imagine all the basics of human design in graphic animated form. So she created this amazing book for me, and I am just over the moon about it. And I'm encouraging her to do this for the world.
Yeah. And I've been working on it to make it more even an easier read because this was like a prototype and things were almost not readable without a loop. So I was like, okay, that's my experiment. That's my third
Yeah.
line.
But hey, it was great to talk about it and to encourage
Absolutely.
you, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because that brings us to the conversation with Mark, your astrologer, and my
Okay, so
second
here's what
time. Yeah.
happened. Can I set this
Yeah.
up?
Yeah. Please, you share.
Okay, so the week before Corona came, I was just in this place, and I felt there was some insight to be had, and assistance would be beneficial. But I hadn't acted on it. I was just contemplating that. And then I get this random thank you note. And I say random because I love this astrocartographer, Mark. If you want his contact, just message us on YouTube, and we'll get you his information. He's not just an astrocartographer, he's an evolutionary astrologer. And Corinne and I had a session with him a while ago to really explore. I don't know if you remember the video where we talked about my sun Earth is Corinne's north node, south node, and they literally sit on top of each other. So we wanted to explore, what does that mean for us as people? And also we wanted to explore, where would the places be in the world that we could come together and the universe would support us. So I refer Mark a lot. And I just do that because I love him and I think he's amazing. So when somebody mentions something that I think he's a good person for, I refer him. And I don't expect anything from that. And randomly, I got a thank you note for someone I had referred him to in Switzerland. And he said, "Thank you so much." Right when I was contemplating, man, some support from the universe would be good right now. And I felt like that was an invitation from the universe. So I replied, I was like, "You're so welcome." And, I was contemplating if some guidance would be beneficial right now. And I get your email, and I'm wondering if it might be a good time for us to connect. So he writes back and he goes, let me look at some things. So a couple days later, he messages and says, "I've taken a look at your chart, and there are some activations that I feel like would be important for you to contemplate." So we set up he sends me some appointment times, and one of them is like was it the day after you got here? It was like really quick.
I believe it was on Monday. Monday or
Okay.
yeah, I believe Monday or Tuesday. No, I think on Monday because yeah, I'm not gonna say what he mentioned because you're telling the story, but I think it was on
No,
Monday.
no. So I don't tell Corinda and I don't tell Mark. I just was like, "Oh, let's just play this as it lays. Let's just see what happens." And it was really magical. So now I've set it up. You take it.
I'm gonna toss it back in a minute. No.
Okay.
Well, the funny thing is, she just casually mentions like an appointment with Mark, doesn't say a day or anything, and then in the morning she says, "Well, for our call with Mark," and I was like, "Today? Yeah, at 10 or something, I believe." And I was like, "Okay, sure." So you set up an extra laptop. I was sitting in the same room, with our earplugs in. And then Mark came on. I said to you, like, is it okay with Mark if he has two instead of one? I don't know how these things work. And she said, "Well, we'll just message him." So she messaged Mark and he said, "Oh, well, that's nice that she's there. And yeah, sure, let her join." And then I came in, I was like, "Whoa, and he said, "Are you here at Simone's place?" And I said, "Yes." "Well, isn't that fun?" So then he said he was going to look at your chart first, and then at my chart and our joint chart. And then he mentioned that it was our birthday in that week, our joint birthday of our friendship, of our connection, our relationship. And we were like looking at each other like, whoa, how could we have known? Right? So like the beginning of this video, when I shared like, how could I have known? I didn't know, but yet I did because I was sensing it. And which brings me to the part he mentioned to me about this coming year and the year ahead is that I'm going to create something new, maybe a book. And I asked him, yeah. And I asked him, like, well, I want to study something new, like a course or whatever, but I feel like, okay, human design is not going to leave me because I'm always drawn to it, but I feel like I want to do something different. What should I be doing or learning? And then he said, well, you've got kind of, I believe it's called a missed step, or yeah, I believe it's called a missed step. So something I left behind, didn't really work on in a previous life, which is my right brain, which means everything that Simone already does and connects to and has access to is like the Akashic records, something like that. And even the things with the Bordeaux, I almost feel like there's still something there for me, for my right brain to develop. And for looking at something, right? Like 5 minutes. And yeah, so for me that was like a validation that I kind of know, and know that I have this talent for it. And I almost feel like what our karmic connection is, because I've contemplated it a little bit these last couple of weeks. I almost feel like you having the cross of consciousness and being triple times right, me having I believe just one rightness. I almost feel like our connection is that you are here to guide me and teach me about this missed step, about this right brain stuff, accessing the veil or going beyond the veil and tapping into the quantum field. And I got so many validations of when we were together, how we were connecting. You even gave me an Akashic record reading. You gave me a soul communication, to feel the difference in energy. And afterwards, little things have started happening because now I'm so aware of it, because I was already seeing and hearing things. But I said to Mark, I'm not fully trusting it yet. I'm not secure in it. I don't feel like it's true. There's a doubt of my 63. There's a doubt in it. But I got so many little validations of, you can trust this. You can trust this. And it's not the validation of me validating myself. It's like validations from other people, which I feel like I need. I need the validation of other people because I feel like I have this thing that I can't see myself. So, yeah. So you fill in all the other missing parts, like your
No,
part.
I mean, that was so fantastic. And I think it was really amazing that you were here because it's so interesting. The training that I did for the Akashic Records reading years and years ago, I actually had always had two of the books.
Right.
And I didn't know why I had two of the books. So I was able to give Corinda, here's, the manual here, which was great. And it's interesting, did you feel a difference in the energy when we were in
Yeah.
the Akashic record and when we did the soul communication? What
Yeah.
was the distinction for you?
What I feel like the soul communication was more directly in the energy was more inside of me. And with the Akashic records, I almost felt like we were in the whole field, or the whole field was within us. That was the main difference that I felt. Yeah.
Cool. That mirrors what I feel,
Yeah.
but it's very distinct to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, different. What was interesting for me personally, because I know you're gonna I'm gonna keep encouraging you, and that encouragement thing came out when we did one of our first sessions with
Right.
Mark, where he was like, it's important, like, I have a role in your life, and that's to encourage you and to
Yeah.
value and respect the
To empower,
amazing
to
stuff
help
that.
me empower myself. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so easy. It just comes so naturally because I have so much great respect for you and all that you are. It just flows. It's not even an effort thing with me. It just like comes out of my being.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the things that for me that Mark said, one of the things was about transformation, reauthentication, um, moving collective and individual energy. He talked for me about well, he said we were in midwives to a birthing process in humanity,
Yeah. True.
which we've
Yeah.
kind of felt like. So for me, one of the things that happened was I well, he pushed me a little bit further. He said that I was going to courageously step into something new and teaching of new knowledge. And um I feel like that is really related to my cross of consciousness.
Absolutely.
And the three, because I have the whole head defined. I have the three gates that go up into the cosmos, and then one of those is connected to my ajna, which is all about accessing for the highest good of all for other people, not really for myself.
Right. It's outer authority.
And I've really been aware of that because if you look at the human design chart, I have the 64-4, and I have a friend who has the I have the 63-4. I have a friend who has the 64-47 and also has all three gates in the head, but she is the 64-47. And so she's constantly bringing in things for herself. And that is an individual circuit. And mine is the collective circuit. And it's not really even, I can do it. It's just not like why. It almost feels like why, like what,
Yeah.
because I'm not designed for that. I'm designed for other people. And recently I've had several people ask me if I will teach them soul communication and Akashic records reading and that kind of thing. And I was actually going to talk to Corinda about maybe us doing something. So that's on the field. But also when I was in Arizona, y'all can ask Corinda. Like I have so many human design books, y'all. I'm 8 years into my journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can ask Corinda. I have a whole
Whole
shelf.
table full.
I have Ra, I have Cheaton Parkin, I have Karen Curry Parker, I have Richard Rudd, I have, and I'll get the whole, so I'm constantly immersing, but I haven't really done any classes. I've had readings. So I've wanted to, but I really haven't had the energy for it. While I was in Tucson, I had the energy for it. It just like I felt my wave shift and I'm like super excited. So Corinda had studied some with Lavinia. What's Lavinia's last
Lavina
name?
Archer at Iconic Human
Archer.
Design. Yeah.
Iconic Human Design. I'm super excited because I've signed up for the first 3 courses. And then when I was doing that, I realized that Lavinia and I have we have the 4130, which is
Yeah.
the energy to feel something new. So she and I share that channel. So I'm super excited because I feel like I'm embarking on something new for me. And yeah. So Mark had said, a theme of transformation. And I feel like,
Yeah.
it was interesting to feel that my body suddenly go to a yes while I
Yeah.
was in Tucson. And
Yeah.
I
Amazing.
was I was excited because Corinna studied with Lavinia and she has great respect for her. And then to find out
Absolutely.
that,
Yeah.
she's a projector, she's an emotional projector,
Yep.
and we have this
Yep.
one of the same channels. So it's
And she has the one
uh,
eight or the 8-1, whatever you wanna, which way you want to look at it. And the way she teaches, I feel like, is very uplifting. She's always very kind. I love her pace. Sometimes she's a little bit, but I like that, because when things go too slow, I fall asleep. You really have to keep up your pace with her, and she's never too she always wants to answer questions. She always asks you like, is this enough? Is there anything else? She's always open for more. And if she feels like she has lesser energy, she just says, I have lesser energy today, or today my throat is hurting, or she's so honest. Again, it's something you can rely on. And she's so passionate about human design. Each time she's still even working on her own education. So, which means that she get her certificates like one after another. And so she's still immersed in this whole trajectory of everything in human design. But you can hear her passion for the system within her teachings. And I have come to notice this week that the people that I'm drawn to are the people that are passionate about the things that they do. And I trust those people because they are so passionate. Because if somebody is passionate, they want to perfect it or want to perform the best for you because they don't see it is for you. They see it as a work of art for themselves.
so incredible. I mean, the synchronicity here. So I was writing with Scott day before yesterday, and this is exactly what came through in my writing. It was we always start with a prompt, and or question that and then we write for 30 minutes individually, and then we share. And so much of what came through me in that session was about how I want to be with people who are truly present, and that my body and my soul don't have time to they're not really interested in being with people who aren't ready to be fully in.
Yeah,
And
get it.
yeah.
Yeah, people that are not in the zone, so to speak. I feel like with passion, there's a flow and you're in the zone of creativity.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Totally.
interesting, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it was exciting to get to have that session with Mark while you were here. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't expect him to do you, me,
No.
me,
And
you,
yeah,
and us. I just thought he'd do me, and and then he was like, "Well, I could do Corinna too," and then he did me, you, and us together. It was
right.
really out of this world.
Yeah,
And knowing that it was our birthday week when Corinna just got the energy to come, the dates worked out, and
yeah.
it was, like, honestly, October, because of what happens with the store, I was gone at the beginning of October, and the dates you came were like right
In
in
between.
between
Yeah,
meeting gone, my friend Tammy coming, and then they left, and then you came, and then we had the store. I mean, like, it was a hopscotch. Like, any
yeah.
other dates, I would have been like, oh, that doesn't work, really. I mean, it
Right,
was so perfect that
right.
you know
Yeah, and I even shifted days. And I don't know why, but now I know, again, in retrospect, we know,
right,
right?
right.
Yeah. And it was also good to hear that a lot of planets were in retrograde. And in that week or just after that week, they would come out of retrograde. And I
Mm-hmm.
felt that shift because we have spoken about it, that we felt like, not kind of lazy, but draggy and, like this. I can't even find words for it. And then I feel like I got back and you went on your trip, and we both are saying we felt energized and we felt like something new had happened and we're being able to move forward.
Yeah, with so much energy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've
I'm
also no
still feeling energized.
yeah, me too. Me too. And
Mhm.
I feel a lot of creativity. Again, I feel like I'm really accessing my 952. It is in my Saturn, but I feel like I finally accessed it for the right reason. So then it's able to flow. Um, so I've been creating like a new design for our kitchen downstairs. I've been creating or recreating the book because there were things in it that were not perfect, and not good enough. So I've been working on that, and I'm in the zone. Like, hours fly by. I even have to think about, like, oh, I probably should eat something, and I have my bottles of water here. Just drinking water, and then sometimes just go to the toilet, and that's it. And the hours go by. And what I also noticed, like last week, the transit was with the 43, and maybe the 43 is still here because I suddenly get these insights that I normally kind of have to think about, and they just come and pop up. And you got me a gift, like you got me the notebook or scribble book or however you want to call it, and I made so many notes for our new idea with Tammy and the writers, and
Yes.
and all kinds of other stuff. And I'm hearing you just say, like, you also want to share an idea with me. So it's like we can use these transits for our advantage. It's not always like, oh, I'm being influenced. No, as long as your inner authority says, hell yeah, then make use of it. So yeah.
It's the magic, right? Like, in this great experiment we're in, the more and more we choose strategy, authority, environment, determination, and become aligned, it's so effortless. Like
Yeah.
me just contemplating, I wonder if extra help, and then I get this random email from Mark, or you just getting the download that, oh, it's not to wait till next year, it's this time, and then it being our birthday, and you know, um just, and then Mark being like, you're in transformation, and
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about what is the transformation. I'm just living my life. And then
Right.
it's like, okay, now's the moment to do the
Right.
officials. Like we could go on and on and on. It's
Yeah.
like, I feel like what we're contemplating here is how the more and more we choose this experiment and to be in alignment, how much flow there is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the distortion is fading away. But it has to do with becoming aware. Because if we weren't aware, we weren't able to notice it.
Right, which is not to say that I'm going nonstop. I mean,
No, no.
the couple days that I was like, I want like some guidance. They were really quiet days where I wasn't doing a whole lot of movement. I was actually like, um, prepping for company, but like I think I was really, it was a really, like, I guess what I'm trying to say, this isn't about like going nonstop. It's like
No.
really, no matter where you are in your flow, that you're so attuned. Like,
Right.
when I was kind of in that low, I wasn't worrying about it or
No, me
anything. I
neither.
was just like, what is
It's
this
just a noticing.
revealing? What is
Right.
the, and then inspiration comes,
Right.
and yeah.
Yeah, you just wait for the right timing
Mhm,
and fully trust in that. And
mhm.
it's funny because we're in I believe in the 14, no, the 34. I'm just hitting the force from the shadow of the 34 into strength. Because if you're forcing, it's not flow. And strength is also, well, maybe it's because I have that 952, but it's to withhold when the flow is not there. Because it makes life so much easier not to force things.
Mm.
Yeah, majesty.
So fascinating.
Right.
Oh, I had a big discovery this week when I was talking to Scott.
Tell me.
Um, so, y'all know when I did if you have followed us, when I was in the low of my emotional wave and I did my workbook with the line companion, and I come to the 18.4 in my Mars, and the 18.4 in the line companion is that we're designed to be incompetent about something. Everything else in our life we can change, but we have one thing we're incompetent about.
Right.
And I knew immediately what mine was. It's weight, because it's the only thing I haven't been able to shift on my own in my life. And that was so empowering. And Ross says that we are incompetent about one thing, so that the gift is compassion. And I do feel like that's a gift in my life, is compassion. So I was talking to Scott on Tuesday. Scott and I are going, a friend of ours is getting married. Two friends of ours are getting married in Tulum. So in December, we're going to Tulum. And Scott had just been in Morocco. He was right on his sun line. We were talking about what was it like for him to be on his sun line, and he was talking about how seen he was and how he was received. And it was amazing. It was a beautiful example of what it means to, be in the experience of your sunline. So we're talking about the wedding, going down to Tulum, and he looks at his astrocartography and he goes, you know what? My Pluto goes right through Tulum.
Transformation.
He goes, I need to stand next to you. God knows what Pluto's going to blow up. We're just chuckling about it. And I have my line companion right here. And I go, let's look at your Pluto 18.4. And I was like,
Insane.
so I was asking him, I was like, you know, what do you feel? What is the one thing in your life that you feel you're incompetent with? And it really came down to belonging. Scott's adopted. He's and you know that theme of belonging. And so I was reading further in the line companion, and I missed something last time. And it's this, that when the 18.4 is in the well, is in the presence of the aura of somebody who has the well, we can literally shift that one thing. It's like a grace that is there. And it's like, guess what, Scott? You're in luck.
Yeah. Oh, he doesn't have the 48.
Oh
Is
no, but
well,
I do.
oh, yeah, you do. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, I do
Yeah,
too.
I have the 48. So was it the 48 or the 44? I want to get this correct. So let me just look at the line companion here real quick. Yeah, the moment that they meet someone that has the 48 and they get into contact with the well, this can relieve inadequacy. The fear of inadequacy is in the 48th gate, which is the next step in this stream. Isn't that fascinating?
Absolutely. Well, that's another part of the experiment that you're going to share after the wedding with us. I love it. I love it. Wow.
Oh my gosh, so exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything in particular that you feel like, because we got like 6.5 minutes and it's 10 p.m. here, and I do feel like, I don't know, I want something for the next time, so to speak. So I feel like this is for now, but what for now would you like to share that will spark our next call?
I am just so excited to be with you
Me too.
in this moment, whenever we meet again, and to continue the experiment. And I don't know, it's like I hear in my consciousness the becoming, to be the becoming in each moment, you know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm here right now with you, and I'm looking forward to when we're together again, and to continue that, just being present and being in the big experiment. That's
Yeah.
And
I've
how
got
about
nothing
you?
to add. Yeah. Well, I can't say it any better. I feel the same thing. Is such a blessing, the way we were together, how I was received, how everything went. It was like, if perfection exists, then this was perfection for me. And like you said in the beginning, it was such a leap for me because I never stay with somebody. I always need my space to make my decision to get a car and go away. I don't like it, but, nowhere to run now. But there was no need to run. And to be in such full trust, and to trust our honesty, to trust our field, it was do I dare to say it? Well, like the perfect friend. That's why I said you are truly my soul sister. I feel, because we're two peas in a pie. We're two peas of one piece. I feel, and that's how I feel like our karmic connection is.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to explore more and experiment more. And we don't know what's going to happen, because we don't know when or how we are going to see each other in real life again. But we are connected forever. So, yeah.
All right. So grateful for you on this day of
Thanksgiving.
and gratitude. Thank you to you, my sister, for
Thank
you.
Thank you for being you.
You too.